Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another podcast of Matini Time. Today I have Christopher Reyes, and Christopher is running for San Antonio mayor, and he's here. He got a military background and very, very interesting background. So today I'm going to interview Christopher, and we're going to know what Christopher is all about. Christopher, welcome to the Matini Time, and tell us a little bit about Christopher Reyes and who is a Christopher.
All right. First of all, I'd like to thank you for taking the time for all the candidates and interviewing them and let people know who they are. Well, for me, I grew up here in San Antonio. I grew up on the east side, the south side, and the northeast side. I graduated from Robert E. Lee High School before they changed the name during all this DEI stuff. I went to St. Mary's College. I intended to be a lawyer, got bored after about a semester and joined the military. Deployed to multiple combat zones in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, appreciate it. And I also deployed to numerous foreign countries for different assignments, Colombia, Bulgaria, Romania, all over the place.
Man, you traveled a lot.
Yeah, I've been married for 18 years. Have 4 children. Half my marriage I was deployed, so this latter half I'm actually getting to know my wife better, going out on dates and things like that, which I didn't get to before. So that's enjoyable. When I got out of the military, I came back to San Antonio in 2017. I got a job working for VIA as a bus operator, so I got to see a lot of the city and various people around the city and how things worked. After that, I graduated from Texas State University with a Bachelor in Geospatial Information Sciences, and now I currently work for Collier's Engineering and Design as a survey tech.
Oh, great.
Yep.
So you told me a little bit something very interesting just a little while ago off the camera, that you were in the military intelligence when you were there. So tell us a little bit about that, and how will that affect your decision-making ability when you are a mayor of San Antonio?
Okay, yeah, so when I first got in the Army, I was a field artillery, combat arms for about 6 years. Then I reclassed to an imagery analyst, so it's an intel soldier. During my time there, I got to analyze the big picture of a combat environment and make decisions at an organizational level, at a battalion and brigade level. So I worked with thousands of different troops. I determined a lot of the things for the Iraqi elections. I did the Saladin province election security. So I'm the one who helped coordinate the aerial assets that were providing security, all the missteps that we needed to fix with the security at the polling locations and things of that nature. So it helps me in the sense that I can see things from a bigger picture perspective rather than what's right on the street, and it helps for planning and prioritizing the needs of the whole rather than the small sector.
Now, I read on your website, you are the kind of guy, you are big on law enforcement and security. What do you think the city needs in terms of better law enforcement? Like, I have incidents myself where I get my vehicle broken into. I got it multiple times actually recently in affluent parts of San Antonio. So what do we need to change that, and what do you think the best solutions are going to be?
Okay, yeah, so for that, a lot of people have the misconception or the conception, the old-time thinking of there's bad parts of town, so stay out of there because that's where you're going to have incidents. But nowadays, I mean, it's too easy to travel all over the city, and of course, criminals are going to do criminal things and look for people who have things that they want.
Right.
So the best course of action would be, again, using my military background, we used to do these things where we would record events that occurred, and after a while, they build a pattern, and I'm sure we have plenty of data now on where people are either committing crimes or whatever the case may be. It has a timestamp, and we can use that data to analyze, okay, this occurs quite often around this time, and now we can have active policing, have police officers do patrols in those areas around that time. I mean, depending on what the police have, I'm not sure all the equipment they have, but you could even potentially track where those individuals are going based off of timestamps and what they're doing and whatnot. And you can actually start finding these criminals that they say, oh, you know, they stole from your car. We're not going to find it. You know, maybe we will, maybe we won't.
Well, honestly, yes, that's exactly the case. Like you call the police, somebody broke into your car, and the damage was just monetary damage pretty much, and we all felt like nobody cares. They just want to write the report, and that's the end of it. Nothing else happens. Mm-hmm. So are you planning to do anything to change that in the future in San Antonio?
100%. So for me, the way I see it is by the police officers or the city in general allowing even petty crime. That's giving the green light to criminals, knowing that, hey, I can do up to this amount of criminal activity and I'll be okay, and they're going to continue that activity. So for me, I'd have a zero tolerance with crime. If someone's vehicle gets broken into, again, at that moment, they might not be able to do anything about it, but that report is significant because now we can start an active case looking for individuals. We can start building it's not a target package, that's what we call it in the military, but basically an information package to understand what's going on in that area and start making an actual push to correct those actions instead of just letting the crime continue to flourish.
Right. Actually, it's funny, one of the incidents that happened to me, somebody broke into my truck while I was riding my bicycle on the trails, and some good Samaritan stopped by and spooked the thieves. So they ran away, but they saw their car, they saw their license plate. They wrote a note for me with the license plate of the thief and the kind of car the thief was driving, and left it on my windshield. So when I got back, I called the 911 and I showed the policeman that note. And guess what?
What is it?
He did nothing about it. He said, we can't do anything about it. We cannot. I was like, I'm giving you who did what they did to my car.
Yeah.
And they just didn't do anything about it.
Yeah, that's something, and again, it comes from a lack of initiative from the mayor, from our city council, from our police chief, for our DA. I mean, if the DA doesn't prosecute any of the crime and just lets people out, it does something to morale to the police officers, I'm sure, because they're putting their time and effort in and nothing comes of it. They just let them out. So I could, it's not an excuse for them. It should still be looked into. I mean, you're giving them half the case. It should be looked into. I don't understand why they wouldn't. But I would make sure that if I was mayor, I'd work hand in hand with the police chief and with our officers and make sure that they have what they need in order to solve these crimes. Because, I don't think it's right, especially when you did half the job for them. You know, they should have at least looked into the person, you know?
Right, exactly. Let's change gears a little bit.
Okay.
On the economical outlook of San Antonio, what do you think now is needed to create more jobs and to get the city up to the level where it should be as the 7th largest city in the United States?
So first, I think we need to take a step back and have a third-party auditor look at the city's budget, look at where all our money's going, where it's being allocated, if it's being spent correctly, ensure that if we find any discrepancies and they look into it and funds are being misappropriated or anything that's not on the up and up is found, that those individuals are accountable for their actions. I mean, what I've seen so far just running in this race is that malfeasance occurs, or maybe a mistake happened, and those individuals just get a slap on the hand and keeps moving forward. There was one point in the beginning of this race where a few of the candidates' personal information, when we registered to run in this race, was just released to the public, and they sent us an email.
How did that happen?
Apparently, when they photocopied our paperwork, only one of the papers was supposed to be put online showing that we registered, but by mistake is what it was. We were told was some people's bank account information was recorded on there and shown. Some people's employers were shown on there. Like a bunch of stuff got released. Jeez. And they said it was only online for a few seconds, and they caught it. I mean, who knows? But
the Russians could have been copied it already.
Exactly. And their correction to that was we got an email saying that individual had training done. They had to do training on how not to make that mistake. And then they provided us with 1 year of LifeLock. So the way I see it is someone made a mistake, got it. People are going to make mistakes. That's fine. But am I to believe that this is the first time this happens? My understanding is it happens quite often. And they're dishing out LifeLocks to whoever they're messing up on. And, you know, that's a couple $100 a year. And now how many individuals are getting that? And that's coming out of our taxpayers' dollars. We're paying for that. That's not the individual that messed up. It's not the city councilman's funds. It's from the taxpayers. So we need to definitely look at our city budget. We need to look at how people are doing their jobs, just essentially like what they're doing in the federal government, a Doge type thing. Look into seeing what's being misappropriated, where can we cut things that are not necessary. And once we get our financial budget established, then we can figure out, okay, this is our actual budget for the city. Now we can prioritize. Now we can make negotiations with cities that we're trying to, or not cities, correction, employees and employers to come to San Antonio. Be like, hey, big business, you come here. We know what our budget is. So now we can realistically negotiate a tax on that company. Because my understanding is the way it works now is our local government wants to do an exorbitant tax on businesses coming here, so they don't want to stay. I mean, I wouldn't want to stay here either if you're taking 60-70% of my profit. I don't know what it is, 100%. But I know that they're charging them a ridiculous tax, and you're not going to keep businesses here. You can't be a leech on them to fund your economy, and they're just draining their bank account. It doesn't work that way. It has to be a mutual thing. So if we knew what our budget was, we don't have to 100% rely on those outside businesses coming in. It would be a benefit and a plus to both the city and that business, where we have a realistic tax for them operating here, create jobs, create an economy that's booming, you know, potentially lower taxes, hopefully across the board for smaller businesses, so that they're not just staying afloat, that they can actually prosper.
Right. And speaking of Doge that you mentioned, what do you think about our current mayor offering that all the employees that have been laid off, the federal employees, that they will have jobs within the city of San Antonio? Do we need more jobs in there to be created just for that purpose, or we pay for these jobs pretty much and they're redundant? What do you think about this step?
No, I think I don't even understand why he said that. I know there's one thing to have compassion for people that, you know, may have lost their jobs, but we don't know the bigger picture. And as far as from what I've read with Doge and whatnot, the jobs that are being cut, it's not like it's somebody who is doing a great job the whole time and now they're just letting them go. My understanding is it's either redundancies, it's extra jobs that are not needed up there, it's bloat, it's individuals may not have been doing their job at all, for all we know. So I don't agree with him saying let's hire all the people that are getting fired from Doge. It should just be like everything else, you know. If we have jobs here, you can put it out and say, hey, there's jobs here in San Antonio. Why don't you apply? And just like everyone else, if they meet the standard for that job, and it's merit-based, not just, oh, you lost your job, come on. Because we already have people here in San Antonio that don't have jobs looking for jobs. And instead of offering it to those individuals, if they meet the criteria, you want to outsource to people who lost their jobs because they probably weren't doing a great job. I mean, we don't know for a fact what was going on with it. They lost their jobs. It's sad. You know, nobody should have to be dealing with that. It's a very big stressful time. But at the same time, if we can't afford it, why are you offering things that we can't afford to begin with? It doesn't make sense.
Right. And changing gears again, when it comes to property tax, we have the highest rate of property tax in the nation here in San Antonio. Do you have any plans to negotiate with the county and with the schools of reducing these? Because a lot of people right now, they can't pay their home taxes, especially those who purchased their homes 20, 30, 40 years ago, grandma and grandpa pretty much, and now they're living off of Social Security income, and their house has appreciated so much so they cannot pay the taxes. And we have some parts of San Antonio that's going through gentrification at the moment. So do you have any insight on that, or are you planning to do anything about it?
Yeah, so that's something that's very near and dear to me. I don't understand how you purchase property, you purchase a home that belongs to you, you pay it off, but you never really own it because you're always paying taxes on it. To me, that's outlandish. And I know there's no way to get it to zero 100% because they're going to use the funding for the city, for maintenance on roads, etc. But it shouldn't be so high that it's driving people out of their homes, especially if they already own them. That's crazy to me, that you own your home, you own your property, but the tax is going to drive you out of there. It's crazy to me. It's like you're a renter forever. It doesn't matter if you're a property owner or not.
Right, forever a tenant.
Yeah, so no, that's something I would definitely look at and would encourage the other members of City Council and the county to have a conversation with them and see what is realistic, because they're taxing people out of their homes. It's not right, especially people who at this point that own their home, their property. They're, like you said, they're probably retired already. They're probably using Social Security. That's not enough to cover taxes and utilities and so forth. So yeah, I would definitely look at that. The same thing with our utility bills, CPS and the SAWS. Blows my mind is this last time they said that CPS had a surplus, and that's what the city uses at the end of the year to determine what they want to pay for their pet projects or whatever the case may be. But if they had a surplus, why are they going to raise rates? It doesn't make sense to me. If they're making a surplus, then they should adjust their rates to be at zero so that we're not overpaying and they're making their bottom line in order to continue to move forward. And I get it's a private company, but it's owned by a majority share of the city. So it wants to make a profit, great, but it shouldn't be so high that people are using credit cards or, you know, missing 2 or 3 months of not paying their utilities because they can't afford it. It's crazy.
Right. Well, is there any issue that's dear to your heart that you really considered running to change it? Any specific issue in San Antonio?
I would say the specific issue in San Antonio for me would be, unfortunately, corruption. There's a lot of corruption in our local government, and I'm not saying that, you know, I don't know, I'm not making accusations, oh, there's these criminals. There's just actual people have to, you know, grease palms to get building permits or something like. I've heard this firsthand from people, you know, to make things move along. I've heard that our restaurant community, that in order to be featured on like the San Antonio app for foods and stuff, it's a pay to play. And before I got into this, there's always the assumption of, oh, you know, government is corrupt here or there. But once I actually jumped in, I seen firsthand that a lot of these things are pay to play. You know, I got emails from the news, KSAT 12 News, I believe, emailed me saying, hey, you know, we have a package that you can purchase for marketing, and included in there was a paid interview in order to get your name out there and whatnot. And in my mind, I thought our news stations would just cover candidates so that people could be informed. I didn't know that you had to pay to get your message out there, which is wild to me. I mean, you're supposed to be doing a public service, not making money off of elections. It's crazy.